Hello Commanders, my name is Simon Jones and you are listening to Lave Radio. This next track is called Starborn. To hear more of my music, visit soundcloud.com/Simon Jones UK. Fly safe, Commanders.
Attention, attention. Lave station infomercial. We We interrupt your broadcast to bring you essential system information regarding the planet Lave.
Lave Radio began broadcasting from Lave Station in early 3299. Originally, it was to be based in Ashuria and run by commercial entrepreneur Chris Gavin, but difficulties with transmission across the planet and system meant it was relocated to Lave Station.
The Lave Radio team are Lave Station Commander Alan Stroud, Chief of Operations John Stapler, Station Entertainment's Manager Chris Jarvis, and Second Technician Vending Machines Chris Forster.
We've been lucky for a long time. Earth's green again, Mars ain't red anymore, and your biggest worry has been carrier upkeep. But what happens if that changes? How are you going to keep your piece of the galaxy safe when the unknown comes at you fast? Manticore. We'll give you the power to fight back, no matter what comes your way, because family's important. And you, well, you're family now. Manticore, come join the family.
From the creators of luggage limpets and passenger lounge suitcase shuttles comes the latest revolution in passenger transportation, the passenger cannon. For centuries, circus performers have perfected the technique of being fired from a cannon. Paired with our new memory gel passenger pod impact absorption technology, you too can speed up disembarkation times from your liner by up to 250%. No longer be limited by pad sizes and excessive docking fees with the passenger cannon. But how does it all work? First, all passengers will be issued with a passenger pod inflation suit during transit. On approach to your passenger's destination, simply fill the inflation suit with our patented impact-absorbing memory gel. Then, once in a stable position in proximity to the destination, effortlessly slide them into the disembarkation chamber ready for launch. The passenger cannon is now available in both gimbaled and turreted varieties to make aiming elementary. Make your liner one of the top 1% in the galaxy. Buy a passenger cannon today. Warning, passenger cannon must not be operated on high-gravity planets or near geysers.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
Galnet News Digest, 2nd of February 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, there are new bits to bolt onto your spaceship. The Kumo crew presses on in the California Nebula despite massive setbacks, and Aidan, Alba and Aisling get together to discuss a renewed Aegis. On Friday the 27th of January, the Azimuth Size 3 weapon stabiliser became available a day later than planned. This module allows one extra AX weapon to be added to ship loadouts and comes courtesy of the people who brought the Thargoid War to the bubble. It's a great addition for folk who don't mind buying their equipment from genocidal lunatics. The release was, however, overshadowed by an unannounced and far more useful upgrade. Professor Palin released an improved xenoscanner that allows you to probe your chosen alien victim without actually having to rub noses with them. Also on Friday, the Kumo crew took over 3 Alliance stations in the California Nebula, saying they wanted to protect them from the Thargoids. The Alliance did nothing at all to prevent this, but several groups of commanders started planning the take-back. On the 30th, Admiral Aidan Tanner resigned from the Federal Navy. He said this was because bureaucracy was getting him down, but it sounds suspiciously like he's planning to get the old gang back together with Albertezro. And a day later, a surprise entrant into the anti-Xeno arena, Princess Aisling Duval, persuaded the Emperor to let her allocate Imperial resources to discussing the re-establishment of Aegis, the one anti-Xeno organisation without a track record of attempted genocide and of killing innocent people in the pursuit of its goals. People thought Aegis was a reincarnation of the evil INRA of old, but it turns out that it's Azimuth Biotech that can trace its operations back to INRA. Yesterday, on the 1st of February, mass murderers Azimuth Biotech released the second larger version of its AX weapon stabiliser a day early, thus cancelling out the lateness of the previous one. Now people who don't mind being associated with homicidal maniacs can fit 6 AX weapons to their ship. Finally, earlier today, after taking 6 days to think about it, the Kumo Council decided to wage war on the Thargoids to chase them away from its newly acquired X-Alliance bases in the California Nebula. However, by the time the initiative was announced, all but one of the X-Alliance bases had become ex-Kumo crew as well, and were back in the hands of the Alliance. So it appears the Kumo crew has nothing to gain from its attempted takeover in the California Nebula. Meanwhile, the Kumo crew's home territories in the Pegasi sector are being ravaged by the Thargoids of the Raijin Maelstrom, and there's a very real possibility that Archon Delane and the Kumo crew could end up homeless. And that's this week's Galnet News Roundup. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.
Commanders. My name is PA Groove/Blurred Vision. You are listening to my track Commander's Lounge. If you like to listen more of my work, please visit soundcloud.com/p-a-groove. Fly safe and enjoy the show here on Lave Radio.
Salutations, Space Truckers, this is Lave Radio, and up next we have Gateway by the group Two Quiet Sons. Taken from their recent album Kelper Mission, check them out on soundcloud.com/Two Quiet Sons.
Swift, sleek, powerful by design. Zurgon Peterson gives you the edge, the strength, and the confidence in any battle. With 4 medium hard points, 1 huge hard point, you have all the firepower you need. 6 utility mounts lets you max your shields any way you want. Engineer those thrusters for infinite boost, and then turn, twist, and keep the enemy in your crosshairs. You choose the engagement, you win the engagement. In a third alliance, everyone fears you. It's the meta, because there's nothing better.
Is your life like this? It could be like this.
Astrogator Tours. Put some excitement back in your life. Book an adventure in the Lave Business Directory. Now.
We all know what it's like. You're busy managing your settlement when suddenly the alarms go off.
Oh no, not again.
That's right. A commander with a Federation naval rank of Admiral, an Imperial King no less, has landed in a ship worth over 100 million credits and is killing all your staff, while they look around for a 10 credit adhesive to glue an upgraded scope to their 100,000 credit assault rifle. They fly away with their super glue and you're left with a problem. How are you going to get your agricultural plant back up and running?
How am I going to get my plant up and running?
How are you going to find staff at short notice?
How am I going to find staff at short notice?
How are you going to deal with all those bodies?
There's bodies everywhere. And they've stained the carpet.
Wonder no longer. Call Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services.
Hello, I'm Harry from Harry's Mine. After a sudden increase in robberies and murders by commanders since 3307, I've gained valuable expertise in cleaning up bodies, recruiting new staff and restocking stationary lockers. Now you can benefit from my experience by signing up to our Crime Scene Cleanup Service subscription plan.
That's right. For only a small monthly fee, when your settlement alarms are activated, our rapid response cleanup crew will be dispatched, along with our patented Cadaver Scoop 150. The Cadaver Scoop 150 can be mounted to surface reconnaissance vehicles and skimmers to make tidying up your settlement a breeze.
Wow, the bodies are gone.
Our recruitment team has potential new employees on standby across the galaxy, ready to fill your vacant roles in security, logistics, administration, processing, and more.
My plant's operational again. Thanks, Ares Crime Scenes Cleanup Services.
Ares Crime Scene Cleanup Services. We'll have your settlement as good as new before the next ship arrives. Cadaver Scoop 150 disposal bags sold separately.
Is your life like this? It could be like this.
Astrogator Tours. Put some excitement back in your life. Book an adventure in the Lave Business Directory. Now.
The what now? Hello and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders.
Greetings, Commanders.
The show that talks about the universe of Elite
and the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous,
and the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from an orange Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads.
A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 428 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, and Alpaca Daddy, whatever.
Yes!
Yay. Might as well just lean into it.
Own it.
Otherwise,
Own it.
Own that alpaca, Colin.
So, yeah. It's got that bad that even when I'm typing in stuff on my messenger on Google, on my text message, the default emojis come up as alpacas and llamas now. Thanks a lot, guys. That's really what I wanted. But I am the Chief Archivist, and I'm otherwise known as Colin Ford. And joining me in the orange Sidewinder, we have our apprentice stunt driver. See, it's started already. We've got Daddy Alec Turner.
I'm back in the bubble and I'm a billionaire, baby.
We have our head of health and safety. That's Ben Moss Woodward, otherwise known as Daddy Edelweiss.
Thank you, Daddy Colin.
And finally, we have our staff liaison officer, Commander Daddy Psychit. Since we're all going to be daddies, you can be
I'm your
one
daddy.
too.
No, daddy's a state of mind. I am your daddy.
Well, this got weird fast.
Oh, I'm all over it. It's amazing.
It's going to be, you can tell from the first 15 seconds, it's going to be one of those episodes. Right. So if you wish.
Well, it is fair, Colin, that at least two of us are sleep deprived. I get the feeling you're sleep deprived, and I only had about 4 hours sleep last night.
I'm working on it. Anyway, if you wish, you can join us live. We have, I do believe, the Chris Mark IV and Edelweiss flying about. Are you taking on Thargoids today?
Yes, we are. I think I'd actually say Thargoids are taking on me. I'm currently hurting a little bit.
Ugly daddy.
So there you go. If you can find Ben and Chris, you're welcome to either help the Thargoids or help them against the Thargoids. Your call. But if you can't get to us in game, you can join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or just go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio, or look us up on YouTube, or look us up on Facebook, or look us up on Twitter. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because yeah, right. So with that, let's have a quick wander around the team and see how they're doing. So this week we'll start with Commander Alec Turner.
Good evening. Well, it's unbelievable. My attic is still not empty. It's just the attic that keeps on giving. This week's special offers were a 12-man tent that I bought by mistake because
You actually buy a 12-man tent. It's fucking massive.
Yes. It turns out you and my wife were both right. It is fucking massive. So many years ago.
Were you looking for a 1 to 2 man tent and just read the label?
It was for the family when the kids were young, and I think I was looking for an 8-man tent because everyone knows that they up the numbers and you can sleep 4 comfortably. I don't know. That was my logic. And Argos, I had this nice 8-man tent all lined up, and then Argos had a 12-man tent that was only £10 more expensive. And using classic man logic, I thought, well, that's clearly the one for me then. £10 and it's way bigger. That'll be perfect. Yes, and as described, it was fucking massive. It wouldn't fit in our garden. It was a pain in the ass to put up at campsites. So it spent most of its life in our attic.
That would have cost you 2 plots. Really, it's that big, isn't it?
It did. Yes, it did. It was a bad purchase, an unwise decision, which my wife advised against, and she was quite right. Anyway, in the attic, and then this week, somebody recommended Facebook Marketplace, and it's brilliant. I whacked this tent on there for 50 quid, and it was gone in half an hour. Somebody drove 30 miles and took it off me instantly. And then next day, Sunday, I got a very old scale electric set out. I'm going to say circa mid-70s.
Ooh, collector's item.
Well, I don't know. It seemed like almost junk to me. I mean, you would have had to take wire wool to all the track pieces, and none of the cars worked, and the transformer's probably a health and safety nightmare. So I just said anyone who wants it can come and take it, and that was pretty funny because my wife nipped out in the garden to do something very quick, and she came back 20 minutes later, and it was like, it's gone. What? Yes, it's gone. Somebody's come and taken it. So yeah, Amazon Marketplace, and all your stuff goes in half an hour. It's great.
Yeah, I hate to say this, Alec, but you could have probably made a small fortune with that.
Maybe.
Depending on how much track you had.
Yeah, it was 12 straights and 12 curves or something.
Yeah, trust me.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Been and gone now.
Whatever. Yes. Been and gone. Yeah, and I'm also, as I said at the beginning, I'm back in the bubble from my big exobiology trip. Go on, guess how much I made.
You're in the money. You're in the money.
5 billion.
Nah, it's not going to be that much. It's not going to be that much. 1.8 billion, something like that.
Yeah, it's almost exactly what I expected, actually. So I was out about 2 weeks. I guess I went 7,000 light years out to visit a racetrack that was in the dark, and then decided to meander my way back and do casual exobiology. So I spent a lot of time just taking in sights, and I didn't find any systems with like 9 or 8 bodies, but I had some good stuff. I got 1.1 billion basically, punchline. I got 40 million in exploration data, but I didn't really bother scanning Earthlikes and things. And then 200 million pre-first discovery bonus, but they were all first discovery bonuses pretty much. So yeah, 1.1 billion. Not bad. Good fun as well.
Better than a slap in the face.
Good fun. What I found really, two things really amused me. Well, three actually. One was that as I got within maybe 1,000 light years of Sol, you start to hit more and more discovered systems, and the systems that haven't been discovered get rarer. And I was sort of reluctant to enter into that bubble, so I kept skirting around Sol, wanting just one more really good undiscovered planet. And that buzz to find just one more before I headed back home was quite addictive, actually. It took me quite a long time to finally just go home and cash it all in. And and the other thing that was really funny, well, actually interesting, was that as I got within 1,000 light years, I started to hit systems that had been registered with cartographics. But what I found actually was that when and often I'd go to the system map, and the system map would show the bodies, and I could see landable atmospheric planets. And a couple of times on a whim, I pointed the FSS at them and discovered that there were quite a decent selection of bio signs on those worlds, and thought, oh, what the hell, they'll have been discovered, but I'll just have a little bit of fun. And in every time I did it, they were first discoveries, first footfall again. So my theory is that there's a lot of systems out there that were scanned pre-Odyssey that are sitting there all discovered for you to go and see the system map, and are full of brand new exobiology data to be grabbed. Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, that's me.
But good for you. I love the thing about the 12-man tent. Right, Ben.
So what have I been up to? Okay, I'll start with so on what day is it today? On Friday, I went to the optician, and I had a lovely optician who said, hey Ben, you're even more blind now than you were. Congratulations. My eyesight's pretty good, but it's gotten, I'm 46. It's getting worse. And it's like I can accept that. But the past 3 years it's gotten worse, but not a lot worse, just a little bit. And so I need to change my glasses, get a slightly stronger lens and things like that. And then she was like, you know what? I'll give you something that works for your screen that is focused at arm length, but I'll give you something that can take it in a little bit as well. So it sort of increases where the focal length of your glasses is or something. And I was like, okay, thank you, I guess. That sounds great. Then I find out that because she did that, she then can't tick the box saying, these glasses are only for display screen equipment, which meant that my company won't give me 60 quid towards glasses that I need. Because the optician was doing me a favour and giving me a slightly wider field of view. So that was slightly annoying, because it meant instead of paying 30 quid for my glasses, I'm having to pay 90. Apart from that, I've played very little in the way of Elite, because I've not been here, I've been up north. But I did finish Spider-Man Miles Morales, and thoroughly enjoyed both Spider-Man games. Miles Morales is definitely it's more a DLC plus than a full game, I would say. And it's a lot shorter than Spider-Man. But it's still a lot of fun and things like that. I really like how much fun the character seems to just have swinging around, and it is a lot of fun. They've really nailed that. And I've just started playing another Sony thing of Horizon Zero Dawn, and so far I found out that my father threw me off a cliff, the bastard, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. And I was like, okay, well, yay, I guess. That happened. And that's been my life. Oh, and I woke up at 5 a.m, and I'm now very, very caffeinated.
It sounds it, Ben.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, just sort of, I think everybody else must be talking rather slow compared to you.
Furthermore. Sorry.
Oh no, that just creepy. That sounded like a gremlin halfway through self-pleasure. Anyway, Psychit, can you follow that?
Ben went from caffeinated to Gollum very, very quickly, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
My precious.
I know, right? I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. We've had speaking of having no sleep, we've had a very poorly puppy from about Tuesday night onwards, like waking us up every 2 hours throughout the night because he needed to get outside. Bless him. He very rarely does any messes inside. Knock on wood. He is the best dog for that. But we had a very poorly puppy for a couple of days, so there were a couple of suddenly expensive vet trips that happened. But he's doing a lot better now. Anything else that I've done? Mostly just like relaxed an awful lot. Haven't done, trying to like get a sleep schedule back into after like having a good couple of days where being woken up a lot of times in quick succession. Other than that, not a huge amount. I've been playing Deliverer's Mars, which is an absolute fucking masterpiece. I've not finished it yet. I think I'm pretty near the end of it. It is I can't remember the last time I've cried like that at a video game. It was probably Deliver of the Moon, but it is absolutely beautiful. If you've played Deliver of the Moon, please play Deliver of the Moon first before you play Deliverer's Mars. It increases the impact tenfold, but it is very, very much a contender for Game of the Year already. It is beautiful. I've never felt so tense and then so sad and then so just like emotionally invested in some characters. It's a beautiful thing. Highly recommend. But that's about it. I've also been like killing Thargoids because, you know, I am wont to do that.
Excellent. Alec, did you want to ask something about that? Or
I was going to ask Psychic if I should play Deliver Us the Moon first, and I guess I should.
I mean, I don't think necessarily that you have to have played Deliver Us the Moon first, but oh my god, it's so good. It's the narrative, the story through it is absolutely chef's kiss. One of the best stories I've ever paid attention to at all. Deliver the Moon. There are characters in Deliver of the Moon who are very heavily referenced in Deliverer's Mars. So having the extra context elevates it.
Cool, good.
Excellent. I'll have to look into that. Let's have a think. Well, obviously, with stuff that we're going to talk about, I managed to get my T10 with as much Daka on it as possible, but unfortunately I haven't had time to use it this week because I've had to go up to Scotland this week. I did catch up with the legendary Psycho Cow and Simoof for a curry while I was up there. That was quite nice, but I'm afraid it's rather depressing stuff that I'd rather not talk about. So we shall move on from there to the development news. And what have the devs said this week? Well, on Friday the 3rd of February, information regarding the AX Combat Bond reward finally came out. Now, this was, we noticed this last Tuesday when all of a sudden people weren't getting as many creds for their bug kills as they used to. And this is because Frontier decided to downgrade the payments. Here was us arguing whether or not all the new bits and pieces that they've added made Thargoid hunting easier, and Frontier seemed to agree because they said that in the notes. They sort of said, well, because you've got all these extra tools, it makes things a little bit easier. I don't think that's completely true when you're talking about Hydras, but yeah, still. So yes, we have killing hydras and most of the interceptors will net you about 15% less than you used to. And they say, well, one of the other reasons is that, well, it's going to be credit inflation. So I think everybody will have a fleet carrier by the end of this month if they carry on with it. Which I think we can say that they haven't got one already. So you haven't, not yet. But then again, you haven't been shooting down.
No, I'm going to pay for it with plants.
I neither have nor want a fleet carrier.
Yeah. And Psychic's already got one.
For years, man.
Well, at least you won't have to worry about upkeep forever.
Oh God, now, but before all the war started, I had like 300 million to my name, and that was getting a little bit brown trousers.
Yeah, you must be relieved.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does everybody think? I mean, they did say that it should have been in the show notes, and they said there's been a genuine oversight. They're very, very sorry. Of course, that didn't stop the forums from just basically laying into people left, right, and centre, because that's what the forums does. I mean, personally, I don't think I'm that bothered about that much of a cut in the rewards, because most people aren't doing it for the money.
No, I mean it's not a big difference, is it? It's like, what is it? 15%.
15%, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because it's kind of like, well, what is really 15% of 2 billion that you can make in like 2 days? Do you know what I mean? It's nothing really.
Not really.
It's still you're still making a metric butt ton of money, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to really worry about on this one, in my opinion. And you're still going to be making the cash. Yeah.
Also, have you picked up a mission recently? Like now that Hydra's actually spawn at planetary bases and all of that sort of nonsense, if you pick up a two Hydra kill mission, you're getting more now than you would have done on a normal planetary base. So it's so great.
Yeah, that's a good thing to hear, because that was one of the things that I think if they were going to make a cut, that's the way I would have done it, because I think those missions were horrendously under-rewarded, and now that it does feel like, yes, that's about right. Alec?
Just while we're talking about missions, I just saw something today, I think it was the forum, which I hadn't spotted. It was interesting. You used to get follow-on missions, not Thargoid related, just generally missions.
Yeah, the chain missions, yes.
Apparently you don't in Odyssey. Apparently they've gone. Probably not deliberately, but...
No, I'm sure I've seen chain missions. You go down the bottom of the list and there's a whole load of missions you can't do, but they've got the little chain icon next to them.
Okay, glad to hear it, because I think there's a forum thread, and a lot of people were chipping in, going, "No, I haven't seen them either." No, so good.
No.
I'm glad they're still there.
What I'll do is I will look one up tonight, and I will post you a screenshot. Unfortunately, I cannot play and broadcast at the same time due to internet problems, as is well documented. So yeah, on Monday, 6th of February. Yesterday, there was the Discovery Scanner, which they summarised the events of the last week, and on top of which highlighted a couple of other issues, which we'll probably be going into later. But apart from that, just it's the standard fare. Absolutely fine. And of course, this Thursday we'll have our bi-weekly frame shift live, and on this time it will be presented with the dynamic duo of Arthur and Bruce. So prepare your backstabbing memes right there. So if that's true, because Arthur likes to pretend he's the Emperor, does that make Bruce Darth Vader? Because Darth Vader always basically stabs the Emperor in the back.
Yeah, we'll know for sure if Bruce lifts Arthur up and throws him down a massive shaft.
Having met the two of them, if Bruce can do that, I will buy him a beer. Dear. Yes, let's move on to that before someone gets horrible mental images in their head. Right, the in-game events about what has been happening this week. Well, on Wednesday, the 1st of February, they announced the Class 5 experimental weapons stabilizer was released. It's turned up in all of the medical ships, and I do believe anywhere where Azimuth just happens to be. And by sacrificing a Class 5 experimental weapon, a Class 5 slot, you end up with 2 extra AXI weapons. Now, I've managed to put this on my T10, so that's given me 6 multi-cannons on a T10. And yes, I will say the DACA is unbelievably good.
Excellent. Was it fun? Is it worth doing? I was toying with it.
It's just worth doing it, just to pull the trigger and go.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Yeah. It's not that great against interceptors, mate, but it's still fun. So yes, that's been released. Having used it, do you think it's worth sacrificing a Class 5 for the 2 extra weapons?
Who?
Anybody.
I haven't used it either.
I think you might be the only one who's used it, Colin.
I'm still in my Mark II. I want to. My plan is when I have a tiny bit of free time is to sit in Coriolis and switch out. I've got an anti-Xeno Corvette that is it's good to go, but I want to play around with some of the build on that and then work out what I'm doing with it, basically. Work out what I need to get for that, and then at some point when there is more time, I will go and get the extra items that I need. It looks really fun. Everyone that I've seen flying around with extra weapons and the amount of insta-gibbing of Cyclopses that is currently happening is fantastic with all of the extra. Like 6 shards can give a Cyclops without a problem. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting just seeing everything, all of these sites go down really quickly, and all of the conflict zones just get sorted really quickly, and then you get to the 2 Hydras at the end, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, now we actually need to work on getting this thing killed, rather than just like being able to like have individuals solo them.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, we've been looking at the chat on this. Phoenix Blue Zero has been, okay, hear you out, but 6 modified shard cannons.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you've got Miggles going. He's going, hell yes, he's managed to kill a Cyclops solo using 4 multis and 2 eggs missiles racks. And
I've just had Miggles saying, he'd never killed a Thargoid before, and he's killed 2 tonight.
Yeah. And Commander Quo's there, a T10 fighter base for scout hunting. Completely agree. I've had, I've got my T10. It's got enough for 4 people in there. Anybody's welcome to join me if you see me flying about. We'll go scout hunting. Right. So it seems to be quite popular, this one, and I think it is well needed. On Thursday, the 2nd of February, a community goal happened. This is the first time for a couple of weeks, which had nothing to do with actually getting weapons. This time, the pirates lead a counterattack against Thargoids in the California Nebula. I haven't had a chance to check. How's that one going?
Probably done by now, but let me check.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to do the same, except my internet.
So I am on it. Tier 4 out of 5. They shifted the goalposts. I know that they shifted the goalposts. It was at a lot lower. It would have been completed. It's 60.45% complete. It's estimated to be finished at 71%. I don't think we're going to hit the total, because the total has many zeros, and I'm not entirely sure what that means.
And 1 gigo Gook or whatever it is. Right, so yeah, the pirates and the Kumo crew are basically doing and defending human territory where the Alliance should be doing it. Also on Monday the 6th, talking of the Alliance, Prime Minister Mohan has said the Alliance will support an Aegis-like organisation. So he's fully open to cooperating with both the Federation and the Empire, despite the fact that the Sirius Corporation is there saying, no, we can do it. Don't worry, we can do it. Yet they did sod all so far. I hate to say this, Azimuth has done more than Sirius. Which, I mean,
look, Colin. let's not be pro for a moment here. Do I have to take you to a side and tell you not to do this? Listen, it's fine.
Anyway, and of course today we've had activists blame leaders for Thargoid War, which is a new one which I haven't had been able to catch up with. So, yay. The Thargoid War's current state is the Thargoids now control 653 systems, that's up another 50. There are 88 systems on alert, 43 are being invaded, 20 systems are in recovery. 0 systems have been retaken from the enemy, which is probably something we'll touch on later. But the Thargoids have now increased their hold to 3.15% of the human bubble, which still gives humanity 4 years until extinction. So, yes, they are progressing, even though we are turning them back a little bit, which is good. How do you feel about the news this week? Anybody?
I like it. I quite like the storytelling. I like the latest one, the activists blame leaders for Thargoid War. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's
the sort of undercurrents of discontent around the galaxy. I feel like something's brewing there.
Well, yes, there was this. I'm just catching up on this now. It just seems there's an awful lot of people that were. This is the people that were saying, I told you that bloomin' Azimuth and Salvation were up to no good.
Wrongins! They're bloody wrongins! I told you.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the funny bit for me is the bit about the Xeno peace figureheads who have been like, well, we never said peace. Well, no, I was working on so many other projects. I never once had anything to do with that. I'm so sorry. Far too busy to comment on all of those hundreds of lives lost.
Yeah. I must admit the writing has managed to capture that kind of slippery politician so well. If that's what they were aiming for, they've got it in one. So, I think it's that time of the week again.
Store alert!
And welcome back. Right, we have 2 lots of Store Alert packs to discuss. One for space and one for on foot. So on foot we have the Vintage Reflect pack, which is oldie worldy looking vac suits, to be honest. If you want to look like something out of the Apollo program, this is the look for you. I quite like them, but as you can imagine, these packs are, well, quite expensive arcs-wise. Anybody else fancy dressing up like Neil Armstrong?
Yep. Absolutely, I do. It comes in purple. It's mine. I'm having it.
I haven't got one of these ones, but I've got one of the other ones that is very similar.
What's the difference with these? Are they shiny versions of the original old ones they released?
I'm not sure. I think they're different. They've got different color variants as well, because there definitely wasn't a purple in the last one. Otherwise, I would have bought that as well. But they're really pretty. They're really nice.
Yeah, they're 16,520 arcs. I think that works out approximately £8, £8 or £9, which, yeah, actually, when I think about it, that's not too bad.
When you consider that they're like entirely modular, so you could wear the helmet on something else, you can wear that chest piece on something else. The undersuit comes separately as well, so there's so many different parts to it that also in 3 different colors. I think it's absolute steal at that, if that's the kind of thing you're into, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of I'm just looking at the image. There's a lot of detail, isn't there? Like buckles and pockets and all the knee pad stuff is really good. You just reminded me of something actually. When I got back with my exobiology and I ranked up to I can't remember, whatever, one of the ranks, taxonomist, is that a rank?
That sounds like it. That sounds like what you said.
What was interesting was
dangerous, I think.
Is it? Okay, yeah. So I've been wandering around in my green exobiology suit, which is a bit ugly, but it's the only one where I had all the matching components. And I now realise I had all the blue stuff, bar a helmet. And the blue helmet that goes with all the rest of the blue exobiology gear is the rank I've just ranked up to. It seems a bit weird. It's like each rank in exobiology doesn't get you the full outfit. It gets you the one bit that you were missing that meant you couldn't wear the rest of it.
There's it's the same with Merc rank as well.
Is
so
it?
you get the suit and then you get the helmet on the following rank and continues up like that.
Interesting.
That would explain a few things. I'm there thinking I quite like the Merc armor that I've got at the moment, and I'm thinking, but I can't find where the matching helmet is.
Yeah, you might need to just rank up one and then you'll get it.
Yeah, but then you'll have the suit and you think, oh no, that one's better. Oh, got to rank up again.
Well, you have to rank up again for the next suit anyway, so it's not problem.
So you get the helmet that you were desperately after to complete the previous outfit, but then you also get the next lot of colour, and you think, oh, I need to grind one more level for the helmet that goes with this lot.
I believe the next suit color will come up with the following rank. I think it's like 6 ranks that you go up. It's been a hot minute, so it's like suit, helmet, suit, helmet, suit, helmet. If memory serves, I might be entirely incorrect with that. I'm sure somebody will correct me.
You evil bastards, Frontier.
Yeah, that I must admit that is and I never noticed until you pointed it out. But now, yeah. Anyway, for those of you who are more interested in ships, the Asp Explorer has got even more paint jobs. This time, if you want to look like something out of Austin Powers or Enemy UFO, these are for you. They look like the carpet pattern on The Shining.
God, now I can't unsee that.
Yeah, I'm serious. The bottom one, the orange one.
I love them so much.
You get a whole load of people all lined up properly. You could have the carpet from The Shining. Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
What you need actually is like it's a shame we haven't got different height bodies and things. You just need a kid. You could represent the kid in the little tricycle by somebody in an SRV parked on that.
Yeah, but how do you end up with a list of blood? Anyway,
work on it.
There's some, just to dip in on these for a moment. They're so different from anything else that we've got. It's a completely new design, and I think they're fantastic.
I must admit, I mean,
there's a few more than just the 3 that we have.
Yeah, I did quite like the blue one, the very blue and white one at the very top. That's something I haven't seen for quite a while. It reminds me of the Gamescom skin, actually, a little bit. But
it's giving 70s WandaVision for me. That's all I see is Wanda's dress in WandaVision. I love it so much.
Yeah, it it is giving off 70s vibes for me as well, actually.
Oh, cool Groove, aren't they?
What?
Ow.
Yeah, Groove paint jobs, I think.
Yeah.
And they are groovy, baby.
Yeah, and
I'm
yeah,
so
I must
sorry.
admit, another one of them look. If one was actually green and blue, that would look exactly like our carpet in the 70s. The decade that taste forgot. Anyway, I think we shall move on and to the main discussion, which we'll bring up after an ad break.
Get ready. LAVE Radio.
New from Azimuth Biotech, it's Tickle Me Thargoid. Tickle Me Thargoid is fun for all the family. Teach your little anti-Xeno commander the difference between an Orthrus and a Cyclops, a Basilisk and a Medusa.
Count the hearts. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a Cyclops.
All Tickle Me Thargoids spray realistic caustic clouds.
Not near the curtains. I love you, Tickle Me Thargoid.
Tickle Me Thargoid. Available now from branches of Lave Toy Depot and other retailers.
We all know what it's like. You're busy managing your settlement when suddenly the alarms go off.
Oh no, not again.
That's right. A commander with a Federation naval rank of Admiral, an Imperial King no less, has landed in a ship worth over 100 million credits and is killing all your staff, while they look around for a 10 credit adhesive to glue an upgraded scope to their 100,000 credit assault rifle. They fly away with their super glue and you're left with a problem. How are you going to get your agricultural plant back up and running?
How am I going to get my plant up and running?
How are you going to find staff at short notice?
How am I going to find staff at short notice?
How are you going to deal with all those bodies?
There's bodies everywhere, and they've stained the carpet.
Wonder no longer. Call Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services.
Hello, I'm Harry, from Harry's Mine. After a sudden increase in robberies and murders by commanders since 3307, I've gained valuable expertise in cleaning up bodies, recruiting new staff and restocking stationary lockers. Now you can benefit from my experience by signing up to our Crime Scene Cleanup Service subscription plan.
That's right. For only a small monthly fee, when your settlement alarms are activated, our rapid response cleanup crew will be dispatched, along with our patented Cadaver Scoop 150. The Cadaver Scoop 150 can be mounted to surface reconnaissance vehicles and skimmers to make tidying up your settlement a breeze.
Wow, the bodies are gone.
Our recruitment team has potential new employees on standby across the galaxy, ready to fill your vacant roles in security, logistics, administration, processing, and more.
My plant's operational again. Thanks, Aries Crime Scenes Cleanup Services.
Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services. We'll have your settlement as good as new before the next ship arrives. Cadaver Scoop 150 disposal bags sold separately.
There's bargains at Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium haven't just been slicing carcasses, but also slicing their prices. All unspecified meat sausages now 2 for the price of 1. A pack of assorted meat steaks, now with 50% more meat at half the price. How about chops? Our surprising meat chops now also 50% off. And introducing our massive meat hamper. It's a family of 4. No, that should say feeds a family of 4, right?
Stick to the script, Claire. It says it's a family of 4.
Okay, I'll stick to the script.
Yeah, you do that.
It's a family of 4. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Find us in the Lave Business Directory or visit us next to the station mortuary. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. You'll wonder how our prices are so low.
And welcome back after that rather disturbing advert. It does remind me of the League of Gentlemen and their special stuff, to be
Stick to the
honest.
script, Colin.
Yes. We need merch. We need merch with these. I want a T-shirt with that just says "It's a family of 4" on it.
I can do that. I could literally do that. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's have a quick look at what we've got in store. Well, first of all, I thought we could quickly go round the team and see how, as we've had a week of 1402, how it's done bedding in, so to speak. I know that there's been a couple of issues that have been a little bit contentious, but apart from that, it does seem to have been rather well received. Claire, you've been the one with the most Thargoid kills under your belt. Have you felt a difference between that and 1401?
I mean, as I said last week, it's the fact that you get 2 hydras at the end has made it really fun. It's still really fun.
I mean, have you found that the CZs have actually ramped up in difficulty at all, or are you?
Well, yeah, because there's two hydras at the end.
Yeah.
It's still really fun.
Alec, yeah, I mean, I know you've been flying out in the black, but is there anything that you've seen taking your eye while you're been on the way back?
Well, I mean, no, I can't really comment on this because I've just sort of been out the whole time that 14.02's been around, so I haven't engaged in any Thargoid stuff. Just sort of with my ear to the community. I mean, on the whole, I think it's been really pretty well received. I did hear some actually Loose Screws, I suppose. Probably sort of might as well give them a shout out. I think they did a complete rundown of pretty every item on the bug list and sort of gave it a school report, an a grade A to a grade F. It was quite a good listen actually. So
yeah. I mean, we'll touch on some of these issues here. There are 3 major issues with 1402 at the moment. The first one is in control systems. It does seem that control systems are not registering any human success at the moment, which is one of the reasons why we haven't regained any systems this week. Apparently it's a known issue. Frontier are investigating it at the moment. Whether or not it'll need a client-side patch or a server-side patch, we don't know yet. All we know is they're looking into it. And in addition, and I'm a little bit disappointed with this one, was that the new post-Thargoid state mission where you can bring settlements back online, that doesn't appear to be working all that well at the moment. I know I tried a couple on that Tuesday, and every single on a settlement which should have been disabled was actually online, and I thought I'd done something wrong because I walked in, tried to disable the power plant, and then got people being angry at me for disabling the power plant, even though I tried to reactivate the power plant afterwards. You just can't win against these people.
So what? You'd picked up a mission to go and reactivate a base, and then when you get there, it's already active.
Oh, yeah, it's already active. It's absolutely fine. There are people walking about, and you turn up and you go, "I've got this power converter for you, but it doesn't look like you need it."
Maybe you need to wait for the Thargoid gremlins to pull the fuse out, as discussed.
Yeah, so again, that is something that they're looking at. In addition, I'm afraid to say some of the barnacle sites haven't been fixed yet either. So, but apart from that, for 1402, that's not.
When did 1402 come out?
Last week.
Last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last Tuesday.
I mean, let's give them a little bit of time, eh?
Oh yeah. And what I was saying was sort of considering what came out. That's not a bad little list. That's it's not and none of it is a showstopper, to be honest. So yeah. Right. Well, I guess we'll move on to something else. Well, one of the things that we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks, or we've been discussing with other people, or all members of the crew actually, is that we found that both Fozzer and Psycho Cow have started playing the game again. However, they're playing the game differently because in the old days, Fozzer and Psycho Cow used to be big into the control schemes and the tons of HOTASs and controllers everywhere to do things, and now they're just minimum. It's just mouse, keyboard, or maybe if you're pushing it, an Xbox controller. So what we thought was we'd like to discuss control schemes with everybody. Basically, I wanted to know, what did you start playing Elite Dangerous with? What do you use now? And basically, if money was no object, what would you really want to use? So I was going to start with Alec, and I'm going to ask what you're actually using right at the moment.
So I use a Thrustmaster T-Flight. Is it called the 4? It's very similar to the HOTASS X, but it's the HOTASS 4. It's the one they make for PS4, but it also works with a PC.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think everyone's very familiar with it. It's the one where you've got your throttle and stick. It's a big sort of chunky black plastic thing, and there's a short cable between them. But they sort of you can stick them together as a single unit or separate them.
Okay. I mean, do you put your keyboard in between the?
So what I do, slightly unusually, maybe, particularly from what I've seen of other people's setups and at LaveCon and stuff, is so I don't have a gaming chair. It's like an IKEA chair, which it's fairly sort of rectangular. So it has these two very upright arms either side of me. And what I do actually is I have it sounds very sort of ad hoc, but it works really nicely. I have a tray that I rest across those arms with the sticks right in front of me. And I must admit, I quite like it because it means the sticks are sort of more just above my sort of leg height. I know when I've sort of been to LaveCon and see people's rigs and they have their sticks on the table, I always find them, really quite high that you have to sort of lift your arms up. So my sticks are very just naturally, I rest my elbows on my table and the sticks are just there in front of me on this tray, which it works absolutely fine. It's not very glamorous, but it does the trick.
Yeah. I mean, I take it you're dual stick.
No, so this is HOTASS. This is this sort of single.
Oh right, a proper HOTASS. Yeah.
So I never made it to dual stick. And just a little bit. I mean, on that, I suppose I've told this story on Psychic's Flight Assist, but I'm actually probably on my 7th or probably even 8th Thrustmaster HOTASS now. They last slightly less than a year, in my experience. One of the sensors goes and you end up getting a twitch, or in the yaw or the roll or something, or the throttle won't go all the way to the top, or one of the buttons stops working. And it wasn't an issue when I originally used this stick. They were about 29 quid.
Yeah.
So it was very much a case of bin that one and just buy another one, and it was reasonably cost effective to start with because I did like it, and I was so used to it. I was just really loath to change it. But obviously now that the price has gone up, I mean, what I have, little recommendation for folks, although I don't know if this is dodgy to use or not, but I use a thing called Camel, which is a website where you can set price drop alerts. So,
So
for things like Amazon, so I'll set a price of 49 quid, and basically I'll get an email if the Amazon price ever drops that low, and I tend to sort of snap one up just so I've got a spare.
You have your own stock, basically.
I do. I better keep it quiet. But
are they in your loft?
Don't tell the wife. But yes, the attic is full of stock joysticks,
or busted ones.
Yeah, busted ones. But it's a great stick. I mean, for a bargain stick, I love it. and it's perfectly capable. It's the stick that Isanona used to use. If anyone remembers, the original Flight Assist Off-Master, it's certainly good enough for the way I drive the SRV, but it just tends to go wrong after a while.
And have you always used that one then?
Yeah, well, I started off keyboard and mouse, and I think I lived with that for about 6 months.
I don't know how people fly with keyboard and mouse personally, but yeah.
It's interesting because actually some of the I believe some of the top sort of combat pilots or, PvP pilots, and I know some of the racers, I think Shay Blackwood, who's always winning the buckyball races, I think he's still keyboard mouse actually.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I've just been distracted by the spectacular death of the Chris Mark IV. Yeah, I mean, I must admit though, if there is anything, if you had unlimited funds, well, how would you like your setup, your controller setup to be?
So, I think, I mean, I sort of regret getting this stick because it is a bit crap. But I've sort of discussed this before. But you get so wedded to it that really, what's stopping me upgrading is just the thought of having to relearn bindings, and I'm so familiar with the way that stick works. But given that, I think I would go VKB. I think I'd probably still go a throttle and stick rather than dual stick. I don't know. I just like resting my hand on a throttle. It just feels very comfortable. But I did want to give a quick shout out actually to another stick. It's a stick I'd never heard of before, and one of the buckyball guys picked one up at Argos last week and says it's brilliant. And I've read reviews and it's brilliant. Has anyone heard of Turtle Beach?
Yeah. Headsets.
Okay.
I haven't.
Just headsets. Okay.
Yeah.
So I hadn't really heard of them, and apparently they're very big on flight sim stuff.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And in November they released a new flight stick called the Turtle Beach Velocity 1. It's a single stick with a couple of little sort of mini throttles on it. So ideally you'd want to combine it with a throttle. But it's 120 quid on Argos, which is sort of kind of at the budget range of some of these nicer ones. And apparently it's really nice. It's got, I think they're contactless sensors. It's got 6 axes. It's got 2 extra little sticks. It's got a digital thumbstick and an analog thumbstick. It looks like a bloody good little stick, actually. So if I could find a throttle to go with it, I'd be quite tempted to pick up one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just actually looking at this now. It seems to have 2 throttles on it.
Yeah. Little mini throttles. Like I think like I say, that they're a flight sim company, so I think they tend to be used for trim on, ailerons or things.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, for those of you who are interested, there's actually a flight universal control system for the bargain price of £349.99, which, to tell you the truth, is about going rate for something that complex, to be honest.
But to go back to your question, I guess my dream setup would probably be the VKBs. I just hear such great things about them.
Is that the Virpils? Yeah.
No.
So, okay.
Am I right? Virpil and VKB are 2 different companies.
2 different companies.
You are correct.
You're correct.
Right. Okay. Now, I've heard of Virpil because that's what Souverine was always used to go on about. Ben?
So it's VKB that I actually have now. My journey, I guess, has been from the T-Flight HOTASS X, which is the PS3/PC version of Alec's stick, and I got it back when it was 29 quid. And like Alec, I got a couple of them. Because they are great beginner HOTASs.
Yeah.
And yeah, after that, and I will strongly recommend you consider this, Alec. I would strongly recommend getting the T16000 throttle, but not the stick.
Interesting. That's the one that's got linear travel rather
It's
than
the one
an
with the
arc,
linear
isn't it?
travel. But I think I don't know. I don't know how you fly with your HOTAS X or HOTAS 4 or whatever the hell it's called.
Mhm.
But I use the rudder pedals on the back of mine quite a lot, and that was a big selling point for getting the T16000 series.
Okay, interesting. I do use
So
the rudder paddles, although the flappy paddle things.
Yeah, the flappy
But-
paddle-y things.
Yeah, but actually I only use them as digital inputs. I tend to use them for things like next, previous, fire group and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. So, but obviously, if you're used to that, then it means the learning experience maybe isn't so much. On the other hand, I would say steer the hell away from the T16000 joystick, because even though it uses Hall effect sensors and the pitch and yaw is okay, the pitch and roll is okay, the roll is a cheap-assed piece of shit potentiometer that buggers itself up as soon as you sneeze on it.
Yeah.
I went through multiple ones of them, and most of them I got them within warranty, and eventually I just got pissed off and said, "You know what? Fuck you," and I jumped from that to the VKB Gladiator something or other. And it's a great joystick. I can't say enough about it. It is very much a hacker's / right to repair joystick.
Nice. So how long have you had that?
I've had this now since before COVID.
Okay,
So it's been
and
about-
so how is the reliability?
It's rock solid.
Right.
It has the pitch and yaw are great big chunky. Sorry, let me just stop myself from cooking because I'm overheating a little bit here. There. The pitch and yaw are chunky cams that basically trigger everything up, and they just go nice and they just work and they keep on working. The buttons.
Is it twist stick?
Yeah, it's a twist stick as well. So the twisty bit, I don't know exactly what it is and how it works, but it works well enough, so that's great. And I've never had any issues with it running out of room or sight or anything like that. It's all been I've never had any problems with drift or anything like that. It's got a bunch of buttons on it. I did go for the premium one because I use the thumb rocker switch, having that as a hat switch, and a couple of the hat switch on the throttle as well. On the analog hat switch, I find it's real. It's handy. It's got a little red light. I don't know what the hell that means, and it's got some shit buttons, but they're fine for landing gear. But it is a rugged stick. The company have also been talking about doing their own throttle.
The throttle's amazing. I've seen pictures of it, concept art. It looks incredible.
I've seen concept art, and I am waiting with bated breath for that.
Yeah, people have been waiting years now, to be honest.
Yeah, it sounds great, and if they ever release it, I will be putting it onto my Christmas card list. Onto my Christmas list, I think, because it does look rather nice. But yeah, that's been my thing. How do you find with your HOTAS X for having enough buttons? Because I know when I used mine, I combined mine with a gamepad.
Right.
And I just had my gamepad sitting at the side and just had additional little buttons for doing odd bits and bats sitting on an Xbox controller.
Okay, so I'm really glad this came up because this was one of the things that I noticed Fozza said in our Discord a few days ago, is he hadn't realised, and I guess there's still quite a few people that don't realise this, but in Elite bindings, when you go into the bindings and it says press the key to do X, you can hold down a combination.
Yes.
So if, for example, you've got two buttons, if you press and hold one of them and then tap the other, it will register in the bindings that you want that combination of holding one and pressing the other to be that thing. And you can mix and match those quite a lot. So what I do is, because that Thrustmaster doesn't have a gazillion buttons, but what I do is, excuse me, on the left stick, so my hand is resting on the left throttle, and under my thumb there are 4 buttons within very easy reach. There's a little row of 3, and then there's another one a bit further down. And I use all 4 of those as effectively what you'd call shift buttons. So they don't do anything by themselves. They all affect all the other buttons. So on the right stick, for example, there's a 4-way digital hat stick. So that's 4 functions by itself. And then it's another 4 functions in combination with the first button on the throttle, and another 4 with the second, and another 4 with the third, and another 4 fourth. So I have 20 functions on that hat stick alone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so by using a lot of sort of combination buttons, I've basically got everything mapped on that stick, including the camera suite, absolutely everything.
Nice.
I feel like that's something that was because I started with a controller, and flying with a gamepad to begin with. I knew about those switch buttons, so it was like second nature to me to use that when I started mapping my HOTASS controls, because you're so limited with a controller, much probably slightly more so than with a T-Flight stick.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've just picked up a controller and I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So while I did have like certain, I mean, I'm still flying on a PC, so I'm able to bind something to a keyboard. Like there's a couple of buttons that I would have to, or like the mad holy shit, I'm going too fast. Break spacebar still exists, but like a couple of buttons that you can press on on the keyboard, because it's just literally just a quick stretch away from holding a gamepad. But at the same time, having the opportunity to have so many different buttons, like press and hold A, and then something on the directional pad would do something. I used to know all of those without a problem, but I don't know so much now.
The one thing that I found really useful when I had a gamepad, because at one point I was HOTASS-less due to breaking sticks, I found that's when I got my voice attack addiction, because it didn't have all the key, all the key combinations that everybody else has gone and used. I ended up using voice attack, and that is where basically it was so much fun yelling at the computer and the computer responding, and then when the voice packs came along as well, that was just me in absolute hog's heaven. I don't think I could have played Elite with just the gamepad itself. I just found it too restricting. But yeah, Alec, do you want to pick up from that?
I can't remember what I was going to say now. Come back to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Psychic, obviously you started with a controller as well. What are you using now?
Still the controller for SRV, because I can't drive a vehicle in a video game without using a gamepad. I just can't do it. If it's got wheels, I need to use the gamepad. That comes from a lot of Forza and a lot of other rally games and things like that. I just need to have a gamepad, and I'm never going to get over that. I've got no idea how people use other things. I've got no idea how you do what you do, Alec. That's well beyond my capabilities, but I get on all right with the controller with it, so I'm going to stick with it. I use the controller for the camera. Obviously I use mouse and keyboard when I'm walking around and doing FPS stuff, because that's where I come from, and that's what I what I did for a very long time before I did any sort of nonsense involving flying around in a spaceship. But I think either during the pandemic, I think it was during the pandemic, as the prices started to come down, both myself and my husband both bought X52 Pros within weeks of each other.
Yeah.
I've never really looked back. I thought I would really struggle with it. I thought it would be such a wild change to using a gamepad. At this point, I'd been playing Elite with a gamepad for like 3 years, so I knew what I was doing. Well, I say I knew what I was doing. I got my first solo Cyclops kill with a gamepad. You know, I did know what I was doing. I think it's fair to say I was accomplished enough to be able to achieve some later game accomplishments just using the gamepad. The having a HOTASS made it so, just changed the game entirely and made it even more immersive. Did you use a lot of voice attack? I did used to use a lot of voice attack, but I love voice attack. I think it's fantastic. It's great for accessibility. It's great for just your immersion and having like a computer to talk to and having all of that come back. But I find I have very, very acute misophonia, and when I hear a lot of different noises that I don't recognize and hear people talking at me, it can cause like slight issues, which is why I can't really. I play a lot of Elite Dangerous while I'm streaming, like obviously, but I play the predominant amount of Elite while I'm streaming, and I can't do that. I can't find myself concentrating on everything and also having voice attack, because you say some shit to chat and you're like, oh yeah 100%, and the next thing you know, you're in a wall.
Yeah, just quickly before I bring Ben in, I have exactly the same problem. Most of the time, when I'm not streaming, I've got a voice attack on, and I must admit I'm really enjoying having Gamma, who's Claudia Christensen, in my ears telling me that I'm getting it wrong. That's a good motivator. But yeah, when streaming, it's impossible. Because basically you're talking to people on the chat, and before you know it, you've dropped your landing gear for some reason because it's obviously misinterpreted my accent. And, yeah, it can cause problems. And I must admit, having voice attack with 6 different voices, each handling the different stations, it would probably be a bit overwhelming.
It's a lot. It's wonderful. And I love having the chit chat on, and I love all of that stuff. It's really, really immersive, but I can't. I struggle to focus with it, and that's a me problem. It's nothing to do with voice attack in general. Voice attack, flipping fabulous. Absolutely adore it. It's an excellent thing.
Right, well, I'll just quickly run over to Ben, because I do apologise for skipping over you there.
That's right, Colin. Now, I want to ask Psychic how she does her Joyce, how she uses her controller, for driving the SRV. Because I really, really wanted to set up my gamepad for the SRV. And I wanted to basically do, my right trigger, which is an analog thing, as my forward throttle. So the further I put it in, the more it went, and then my left trigger as reverse or brake. And I was like, I was trying. So can you do that? Because all I could basically figure out was, okay, I can bind one of them to the throttle, but it's being a
you mean
switch.
You mean it's like okay. I don't know that you can
drive my SRV like I drive a car or anything like that on any other game, where I'm using my
Where
my
it's sort of like
triggers.
incremental to just speed. I don't know that you
rather than
can.
sort of like dial a throttle level with it. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, if I'm pressing full throttle on my gamepad, I want to go through throttle, and if I take my finger off, I want that to be a stop. And
I honestly don't think that you can.
Damn, because I got really excited when I heard that you were using.
I feel like my method is what do you mean you only want to go incrementally and you don't want to go as fast as possible from A to B? That's the first thing I heard. But I don't think it has like. Oh, you might be able to do like if you turn off drive assist, you might be able to do it, or you might be able to do something like with incremental turning up and down. So like if you maybe use, again, I'm going to go into the technicalities of a gamepad so those of you who want proper gamers and use gamepads, I'm joking, obviously, I'd never gatekeep like that. But if you maybe use the right trigger for like lead foot, and then the left trigger for non-left foot, and then use maybe the bumpers for incremental, if you can do that. I don't know whether that's the case.
Well, there's been a big discussion on the forum and the difference. So yeah, with drive assist on, your inputs are basically setting your desired speed, whereas with drive assist off, you're basically, you've got your foot on the throttle. In a much more conventional sense.
I haven't used the SRV for quite some time, and obviously, if I don't do something for a long time, I will forget how to do it. I think the last time I drove in an SRV was at Buckyball, on the last 8 balls, so it's quite some time ago. So I don't know categorically. I will make a note on Thursday when I log in to before having a chat with any flowery folks and destroying them accordingly. I will get into a ship with an SRV and have a drive around and see what it does. I will inevitably forget, so someone please remind me.
Yeah, Alec?
I was just chipping in on that drive system.
Oh, thing, really. Right. Got you. Yeah, well, I suppose my controller escapade is that I started, first of all, with a rubber ZX Spectrum keyboard, and then moved to a QuickShot 2 joystick.
I didn't realize we were going that far back.
Nobody said. So, yes, actually, I got involved in an argument with Dara O'Brien about the... on Twitter over the merits of certain joysticks against for old 8-bit computers. I lost. Everybody said the quick shit. Yeah, the quick shot 2 was a bit quick shit, if you ask me. But yeah. But moving on to Elite Dangerous, I actually started with an X52. Because I started with, not an X52 Pro, but an X52, because there was a game due out, I think, 2 years before Elite Dangerous was even announced, called Jump Gate Evolution, which was supposed to be basically an MMO. There was Jump Gate, and then there was going to be its sequel, which is Jump Gate Evolution, and it was supposed to be very close to what Elite Dangerous turned out to, but in a much smaller playing area. And yeah, I wanted the HOTASS experience for that. But then the game never came out, and the joystick ended up gathering dust and was hidden away until all the Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous stuff came along. And I've been using HOTASS joysticks ever since. Apart from obviously when the X52 broke and I had to save up for an X52 Pro. Now, the main issue that I have had in the past is that, well, the joysticks, they don't last as long as I'd hoped. The X52 I've got at the moment, the yaw spring's gone. So basically, when I twist it, I am. There's no feedback. Actually, I've got used to it, and I actually fly better without the spring than I did before. But I do tend to drift. And this is going to be the weird thing, is that I'm really happy with this setup. I don't think I'll just get a replacement. It just feels fine for me. I do have the ED Tracker Pro, which does handle my head movement when I don't want to go to full VR. But then again, the one problem is if I don't have that plugged in all the time, I lose all my my bindings, which is a pain. And that brings me back to this other point: is that there are times when I feel, oh right, I really want to have a go on Elite, but then there's a thought of getting the joysticks out, setting up how I want, getting the head tracker, setting that how I want, firing up voice attack, and you just think, I can't be bothered, because sometimes you just want that instant accessibility, and sometimes it's the setup that really annoys me. Alec.
I can really sympathise with that. It's one of the reasons I stopped playing in VR. I mean, VR's amazing. But yeah, just the faff of... I mean, I had the early CV1 where you had base stations, and I kind of have to faff around a bit to position my base stations every time. I have to sort of put them away and get them out again. And then getting the headset on and getting it positioned and comfortable. And yeah, I totally get that. I also just wanted to chip in on head trackers, because I use Track IR. So permanently on top of my monitor here, I've got the little Track IR infrared sensor. He just sits there permanently. So the only thing, I know what you mean about setting up and keeping it simple. So the only thing I have to do, which is mildly embarrassing, but it is what it is I have to wear a baseball cap, which has the little clip on it, which has like these 3 little reflective pads that the Track IR sensor picks up on. So in terms of setup, I just have to slap this baseball cap on and then stick my headphones over the top and then pick up and go. But I would say to anyone that's never tried head tracking that short of VR, which is more expensive obviously and comes with its own complications, head tracking is an absolute game changer, or it was for me. I find it really hard to play Elite without it now. The thought of being stuck in my cockpit and not being able to look to just look to my left, being sort of forced to look forwards unless I use a stick. Just being able to look around, I can't overemphasize what a game changer that was for me.
Yeah, it does give you that extra little edge of situational awareness when you've got the head tracker working properly.
Yeah, you can do little things that you might not realize. Like if you're taking off from a planet and you've got your, maybe you're doing exploration and you've got your next jump system targeted and it's below the horizon, you can just head up for the escape vector and then just look to your right and you can see that little dotted circle, that represents your jump system below the horizon. And you can literally just fly with looking to your right until it just pops over the horizon and then engage the jump. And just little things like that where you're able to just look at the thing that's important to you is amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's the it is. Some people consider it a poor man's VR, but to tell you the truth, I've had a fantastic experience with it.
It was one of the things that enabled me to come back from VR when I started to find VR just a bit of a faff and couldn't be bothered and wanted to play without it. Having head tracking, I think if I hadn't had head tracking, coming back from VR would have been harder. But being able to look around still, I know it's not the same, and I know VR enthusiasts will be screaming at me, and I know what VR's like, and I know how amazing it is. But as a compromise, just being able to look around is good, actually.
Yeah, Ben. Oh, are you still crashed by any?
Well, I'm crashed, but I can still ask my questions.
Okay, off you go, Ben.
So yeah, I've always wondered about head tracking because I am such a fidget and I cannot sit still, and I'm always looking to my left and to my right, even when I'm flying straight ahead. And I've always been very concerned what that would go and do to my head tracking. So that's I've always stayed away from head trackers because of that. But how big a concern is that?
It's not actually. I found that. I mean, I'm like you. I don't exactly have what can be said as a stable head. There's something for people to click. Yeah, but what you can do in some of the software, you can just filter out the wobble, so that it'll only pick up stuff when you actually do turn. I mean, there is one thing that I do miss it. At the moment, it's only got 4 degrees of motion, so I can look left, right, up, down without a problem. But if I tilt my head, the camera doesn't tilt with it, which is something in VR it does, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, TrackIR does that as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice. I mean, it might seem a bit gimmicky, and sometimes I do use it gimmicky just when I'm going through a hyperspace jump. It's kind of, you can get some cool screenshots from tilting your head, but it's like it's hard to describe. But if you're, say, in the SRV and you're looking up through the roof to try and see your ship coming down, if you look up to the right, your screen is sort of tilted until you also tilt your head to correct it. So being able to sort of look up and tilt, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but the tilt is nice, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
Go on, Ben.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, past about a year and a bit ago now, I guess, I got the Quest 2, and ever since then I've loved VR for Elite. I mean, it's just, everyone's always said it's the bollocks, and they're not kidding.
I guess that's a lot easier than the CV one, isn't it? Because you literally just put it on and it just works.
I put it in. I then have to take the Quest into PC mode, because obviously the Quest does its own thing. So I have to say, go and connect to my PC and just act like a PC VR rig, and then I can go and just launch Elite. And now that it's configured, because obviously there is configuration to do, now that it's configured, it just works.
Yeah.
And the only hassle I have, in inverted commas, is I can't see what's going on around me, and wearing the ski mask thing means you do get a rather sweaty head.
Yeah.
But my God, and for Thargoids, I was doing AX combat in VR the other day with you and Fozzer and things like that, and my God, that was so much fun.
Oh, you were in VR for that one?
Yeah, I was in VR, and it was amazing. Right. So good, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I mean, the ultimate for what I would really want is basically full VR voice attack to be working properly, and of course, the X52 Pro, because my muscle memory is probably that so linked to my control scheme at the moment. I did find this out when they had the Frontier Expo.
Yeah.
There was some guys doing. I'm sure it was a buckyball.
It was, yeah. I was there.
They're doing a buckyball. The problem is that they had the T1600 joysticks.
Yes.
They did, yeah.
Yes.
And everything on there was completely different. And I was flying along, and I did what exactly I would have done on my X52, but because it's all mapped wrong, I crashed into things, and I was going all over the place, and everyone was taking the mickey.
I was running that stand with one of the guys from Pixel Bandits, and it was a great idea, and we had a lot of fun with it. But the single biggest problem was every single person that we sat down, we had to spend so much time going through controls and
Oh,
stuff.
It's
And we had
such
the
a
same.
personal thing.
It is, and we had exactly the same problem when we ran buckyball races at LaveCon as well. People would want to spend 20 minutes rebinding everything before they would start. It was such a shame because you really want to just sit down and race, but you can't unless things are familiar.
Yeah, I mean that was I was so embarrassed. I really was embarrassed at that because what's worse was I think is when they recognised my voice.
Oh no!
And I thought, oh no. So they knew I was rubbish. Well, what's this about Game Glass? Because I've heard about Game Glass, but I've never used it.
So, Game Glass is one of a series of similar-ish products, I guess, but it's the most polished in some respects. And I guess to a lesser extent, maybe you could also, Psykid, what's that? That's Stream Deck. That's the thing.
Stream Deck, Leoran board, you can probably use for it as well. There's loads of different other things that you can use. You like stuff that has that works like a tablet, but Game Glass does a really, really good job.
Yeah, great. Game Glass looks really, really pretty. Does a great job, and basically, if you got a tablet or a phone or even a second computer somewhere handy, or a second monitor or something. Something handy. You can connect multiple Game Glass clients to your server, and basically anything. And they've got everything mapped. So you've got your jumping and things like that, obviously, but you've got everything mapped, and it's just you want silent running, you press the button for silent running, you get a little kind of noise giving you confirmation, and all of a sudden you're in silent running. And of course, because it's interacting with the journal, Game Glass knows the state of so many things. And then it's just triggering a keyboard binding. That's all it does. Same as HCS voice packs. It all boils down to I'm issuing a keyboard binding. Deal with it.
Yeah, issuing a keyboard binding, and the fact that now the voice packs can actually read the journal as well, so that it can give you responses back, which adds to the sarcasm I get from Claudia Christensen.
Yes.
Again, wouldn't have it any other way.
Ivonova knows best.
Yes.
But yeah, Game Glass couldn't recommend it enough. It's also got other things. Sorry, this isn't an advert for it by any chance. Christ, it supports other things as well, including the game that shan't be named and Microsoft Flight Sim, and of course, people can they've now got this thing that allows them to design their own. So you can do your own stuff. You can put your own things onto it as well. Norman's just asked if it's got an OBS thing. I have no idea. That's worth looking into. I've not looked.
Leoran board does.
Which one?
Leoran board, I believe.
Okay, I've never used that one. There's another one that I've got called Launchpad, and that's got a really good OBS and a voice meter banana thing. And in Voice Meter Banana, it's got like all the dials and all your what the count. I want to say dials, but it's not dials. It's all the sliders and things like that for your levels. I don't know what Leoran board's got on it.
Lots of different programmable things. I use it for some image triggering. Predominantly, I prefer to use my Stream Deck because it's a lot easier to use. But there's a couple of it does really good Twitch like chat integration as well. So that's predominantly what I use it for. It's super handy. That's kind of veering slightly away from Elite Dangerous, but it's. I know people have made plugins for Stream Decks for Elite, which probably works in a very similar way to everything else, where it's just sort of like triggering something by a certain input, right? Changing something to a
Press
certain
the button
key
and it
press.
lowers your landing gear.
Yeah, 100%. It's all of these things that loads of people make because they want to make life easier for us. I love it.
Yep, it's awesome, isn't it? I think one thing which we've alluded to actually this evening, but we've not really covered, is the fact that Elite allows you to have so many input devices and combinations of everything, and it this is the good thing and the bad thing, is that it recognizes what you've got. So, and this is why when Colin doesn't have his head tracking plugged in, Elite goes and says, "Oh, you don't have your head tracking in."
Yeah.
This is a different control system than what you were using last time.
So we're just going to switch to default.
Yeah.
We'll switch to and then you're like, why the fuck isn't my HOTAS working in the same way? And then I realized that I had to unplug the gamepad because it was having a funny effect with Planet Crafter, because I could keep hearing footsteps even though I wasn't pressing anything on the gamepad. It kept thinking that I was moving forward, so I had to unplug it. But now when I got back to Elite, suddenly I have to put the gamepad back in, otherwise it won't hear it. It's wonderful. Thank you, Elite.
Yeah, it's the power of it is great, but it's also seriously, why did you just do that?
I panic so much.
Oh yeah,
every single time, because it's like I've inevitably changed 6 or 7 key bindings since the last time I've backed up my key bindings. All the time, I get pissed off with something or something. Frontier have the audacity to give us an update with a more convenient button press, and then I have to assign that to it. Yeah, it can be a bit problematic.
Field neutralizer.
Yeah.
I just banned. That's what I just banned the other day.
Yeah, well, I just found out that Elite Dangerous has been directly responsible for spoiling my Final Fantasy VII experience, because I've had my head tracker in, and the head tracker has just been sending out little jitters every now and again, which has basically made Cloud and Aerith just do things they weren't supposed to do, and ended up with a game over screen before Ben starts getting excited.
I know.
I've had such weird things with. I've been playing FPSs, and the FPS, for whatever reason, and it's not all the time, it's just sometimes the FPS client that I'm playing decides it's going to use most of the inputs from my joystick, and for whatever reason it wants to run all the time forward and right, even though my joystick is centered.
This is why we plug in our joysticks and our HOTASs to configurable turn off and on USB hubs, so that they can't. Because this is the thing that I had with playing. I used to play an awful lot of Forza with Kremen, quite a lot, and he would complain. If you knew Kremen, you'd know that he does complain an awful lot, but he would complain an awful lot about and quite vociferously about how bad the game would stutter on braking, and there'd be like a really weird control for the carts, and it was because he had his T16000 plugged in. And when I say it like that, because he had his T16000 plugged in, I really want the T16000 flashlight right now, but I'm not going to say that because that would be mean to Kremen. But we have, now he's got a
the wait what?
Sorry. It made me, don't worry. I want it to be a fleshlight because I want to be able to take the piss of Kremen for that, but it's not. It's a HOTAS, and I'm upset about it. But now he's got it on a switchy off USB hub. It doesn't make it's no problem anymore. Look, it was a personal need to take the piss of Kremen.
So long as you remember to turn it back on.
Turn off your flashlight, when you need to use it.
You go into Elite.
When you need to use your flashlight, turn it back on so that you can play properly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't do us any favors when you have joystick brands such as Thrustmaster.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, what we'll do, we'll just say thanks to everybody in the chat room because they've all been talking enthusiastically about their different control systems, and it does seem like everybody does like talking about their joysticks. For now. So,
Oh, do we have time for me to tell a quick story?
Okay, is it safe for work?
Technically,
we're past that moment.
We've passed that point a long time ago. Go on then, Ben, just quickly. Last one of the night.
Okay, so as I've mentioned, I have had problems in the past with my T16000 stick having an issue with its yaw.
Okay.
And there was one time when I was walking through, I think it was EGX 2015 or 2016, with a fellow member of the community who I was hanging out with, and we were all at EGX together, and I was describing the problem with my Thrustmaster, and its wiggly things not wiggling right, and veering to the right, and these two young girls. Well, they look young. They look young to me. They're probably late teenagers, early 20s. They're probably in their 20s, frankly. Looked
They're
at us.
43, and you have no idea.
Yeah, they looked at us and said, if we were going to hear a conversation like that, it would be at EGX.
Well,
yeah,
yeah. So that's one way to break the ice, isn't it?
Is that a joystick in your pocket?
Easy now. No, it's a curly whirly.
Actually, in EGX, it probably would be.
Yep, probably.
Either a joystick or a curly whirly, there is no in between.
Yeah, but you don't want your curly whirly to get all melted. That'd be horrible.
It would be. You don't want your joystick to melt either. That would be problematic.
No, that is true. I nearly melted my thumb drive the other day, but that's another story.
Easy.
Well, we now know the difference between a HOTASS and a curly whirly. Well, thank you. Right, the community corner for this week. We have some fantastic community little icons to bring to you. We've got Commander Nick Webb 85, who has done a Lego concourse for Elite Dangerous. I must admit, I saw this on Reddit. In fact, I've seen a lot of these things like this on Reddit, and it's absolutely astounding. He's got the bar, he's got the little shop. It's wow.
It's the lighting. It's the lighting that's so sensational. It's just perfect.
I know. Now all we need is a little Lego animations, you know? Have you seen the Lego animations where they put Eddie Izzard routines to Lego animation?
Oh God, that'd be hilarious.
Oh yes.
No. I'll send you the link, Ben, because it is hilarious. The Lego animations of the Death Star canteen routine, unbelievable. So yeah, Nick. But it looks amazing. There's no two ways about that. Now, this is something that both you and Psyket have been involved in, which is, well, I've been playing it lately. That's Commander Quiz Engine's Elite Feat Quiz.
Mm-hmm. It's so good.
Have we not all been doing
this?
What
is it?
Oh my God, it's so good.
It's quite addictive.
Mm-hmm. I've only done it once.
Just one more go, see if I can beat that last score. Basically, he shows you pictures of landing gear, and you get a selection of 4 different ships that it could be, and a time in which to answer it. And then, if you get it wrong, you get negative points added, and then you get positive points added, obviously, if you get it correct. I am not very good at this because I don't look at the bottom of my ships very often, but it is so much fun. It's really, really, really good. It's a really good little game.
I'm looking at landing gear on ships. Is that the elite equivalent of feet fetishes?
Probably.
No, it's the landing gear fetish.
Yeah.
Look at the claws on that. Yeah. Oh dear. In other news, the Pixel Bandits. So Pixel Bandits Pendragon has been sharing a non-canon background simulation for Elite with football teams spread throughout the galaxy in the UCP Football League, and there is one for Lave.
Come on, you sound waves.
Yep.
Yeah, we're even doing all right.
I know. Well, we managed to beat someone this week, just quickly, just narrowly. So yes, there is a fantasy football league. Each team has their own made-up stats, and we have our named players. None of us are named, thankfully, because I think we've all got two left feet. But yeah, so you can follow the UCP Football League, and it's
and what does UCP stand for, Colin?
Unofficial and completely pointless.
As is everything.
A bit like Wrexham.
Ooh.
Hey, no, they made a lot of money. They've made a lot of money recently. I wouldn't worry too much about them.
Yeah, but we still managed to get up to the league before them, so haha. And finally, this is actually quite good. We've got the DBX blueprint posters by Velko Vidic. This is the latest in a series of blueprints that he's done, and they go into so much detail. It even shows some of the places where he speculates where you could walk around and things like that. But yeah, what did you think to the? I was really impressed with these.
Yeah, they're just beautiful. I love the fact that every inch of the interior is accounted for. So as you say, a lot of speculation on where the lift shaft goes and where the corridors and the bed and the kitchen, but it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I can't remember the commander's particular name, which was a shame because he did a whole load of blueprints which were used in the in EDRPG. He did a load of those as well, which is.
Oh yeah, do you mean Arathan?
I think that's the guy. I do apologise if we got it wrong, but yeah. But Velko Vidic has gone and done a couple of others as well, which I thought was really good. We haven't actually got them on the show notes, but I know he's done ones for I think it's the Cobra and the
Crate Phantom. He's done
the Crate Phantom. Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and I hope he continues. Also, on top of that, we've had Spatula going to 2,000,000% heat on the old. Well, how did?
It's so funny.
How do you get to 2 million degrees heat? Or 2 million?
I imagine Silent Running and Perseverance. I haven't actually watched the video yet.
Okay, so I think I haven't seen the second attempt. The first attempt was 5 hours long.
5 hours.
Yeah. What are the weapons that massively increase your heat when you shoot them? There was some of the
Gauss cannons, shards, pulse. Take your pick.
Right. Okay. So as far as I could make out, because I didn't watch a lot of it, but he's basically hovering above an outpost. And he's basically just firing Gauss cannons constantly, and the heat's just going up and up and up and up and up. And I guess he's got massive hull reinforcements or something and module reinforcements, so he can do that for quite a long time. And then so he might get to like 10,000% heat, and then he has to land and repair and take off again. By which point maybe he's dropped to 9,005, and then he just keeps going.
Right.
Land, repair, take off. Just keep going. Hour after hour after hour. Up to 2,000,000%.
So there's another reason for this. I believe it's either 300 or 400%. But once your ship gets to either 300 or 400%, it doesn't register. The damage is consistent. When you get even higher than that, it doesn't change. The amount of damage that you receive doesn't change. So essentially, you can keep rocking it up and rocking it up and rocking it up.
And things don't escalate.
And things, it doesn't exacerbate any further than being. I think it's 300. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. But I think you get to that sort of level of heat, and then they're like, yeah, you know what? It's just the same. It's that or 2 million, exactly the same. You're not going to be a ball of flame.
Yeah, I can see exactly the programmer mentality behind that. That'll be they'll never get it higher than 300% anyway.
What I really had to take my hat off to,
Should
and
be
it reminds me of the old Sagittarius A-Star Buckyball days when Commander Allott was sort of beaten by somebody or he missed the mark by about 2 minutes or 1 minute and just suicided back and did the entire run again the next day. And I love the fact that Spatula, he tipped over 1 million, thinking that the previous record was about 800,000%. And then he found out the next day that the record was 1,010,000 or something, and he'd missed it by about 5%. So he just did the whole thing again and went to 2 million, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. I take it you're asking the big question there, Ben.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here shaking my head, going, "Why would you do this to yourself?
Why not? Why? Because you can. What was the thing we said earlier about pointless? Everything being pointless and nothing being worth anything. Why not?
You're right. It is completely pointless and it is absolutely epic. But I can think of better things to do with 5 hours of my life.
I got it to 10,000 the other day, and I was like, you know what, that'll do.
And finally, this week we have a new High Wake video named Arissa. So for those of you who enjoy the High Wake, we will put a link in the show notes. I haven't seen this one yet, to be honest.
It's the biopic. He talks over it. It's really good. It's a really good one.
I watched it this afternoon. It's wonderful.
So I guess our mostly clueless thing is you can't damage your ship anymore over 300%. So
I think that's it. I think that's it. Like, you can go wild with it. You can go absolutely wild with it, and it doesn't change the rate at which your weapons and your modules deteriorate once you get over a certain amount. It's either 300 or 400. I don't have the exact numbers. There you go. Mostly clueless.
Yay. Right. Does anybody have any other business before I bring this show to its inevitable conclusion? No. Okay. Well, if that's the case, we will start with some just the usual shout-outs to everybody. The team on Dex Island are taking a well-earned break before the Series 2 return. There's plenty of material to fill the void in the meantime, so point your audio assistant, including Spotify and Audible, and search for the Dex Legacy. You'll find bonus edition interviews with cast members and the writer Emily Inkpen, and there's plenty of bonus materials and merch at thedexlegacy.com, with all proceeds going towards Season 2. Our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio, it will broadcast on Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv/Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you want, just go to audio.radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander who likes a bit of CQC action, there is a CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous. And we'll also give shout outs to the other Elite Dangerous podcasts that we know of. You can catch up with old episodes of Flight Assist. There's also the Guard Frequency, who do other space sims as well. But if you want your proper American hillbilly banjo experience, then there is the Loose Screws podcast, who also love their cheese. Now, following this, we unfortunately do not have the latest Galnet News Digest. We'll just give a wave to Commander Peter with the Spoon and Commander Beetlejude anyway, because they're awesome people, but there won't be one today. But we'll thank everybody else who has chipped in on the Twitch channel, and any in-game commanders that have annoyed Ben and the Chris Mark IV.
That would be Miggles, who was going to let me fly with him in his Type 10, and I was going to take some pretty screenshots. Unfortunately, every time we tried to jump back to the combat zone, I basically got a Blackadder or an Orange Sidewinder exception. So I decided at that point, I'm going to just stay in as fleet carrier instead.
Excellent. Well, also special thanks goes to Commander Tokuso, Jay and Trax, and Alan Stroud, who have all created music that we've used in the show. And special thanks always goes to Psychic Chris Mark for the fantastic adverts that we seem to be heading our way. They are chef's kiss, guys. They really are. But that is it. Oh, quickly, Ben.
I've just realised 10 years ago today, for much younger people, we're recording something for the very first time. Well, technically for the second time.
Yes. Well, it was supposed to be our 10th anniversary show tonight.
It's our 10th recording anniversary, but we didn't,
Yes.
we didn't manage to get it. Well, because we weren't in it at the time, didn't manage to get it out until the 22nd.
It was a long edit.
It was a long recording session too, from what I understand.
Yeah.
But we'll leave those stories till then. But thank you very much, Chris, Alan, and John, for 10 years ago today, starting this thing. And my God, I can't believe we're still going.
Yeah, 10 years. Well.
Yeah, bloody hell. Anyway,
I know.
Sorry, that just dawned on me when I looked at the date.
So, I like that. Kitty Anna says, and when's it going to get good?
Oh, you give it another 10 years and they might just have honed it by that point. I reckon another 10 years and you might have it down, yeah?
Kiss my chuddies the lawyer, right? That's it for this 10th anniversary episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, they can email info@laveradio.com. Hit us up at Lave. Hit us up at facebook.com/Lave Radio. Tweet us at Lave Radio on Twitter, or tweet us at lavey@spacey.space on Mastodon. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/Lave Radio, and you can also join in our TeamSpeak server, where commanders like to hang out and chat, which you can find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you've got any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So, thanks to Ben.
Good night, Colin.
Just wrong. Thanks to Psychic.
We're not the fucking Brady Bunch. Just, thanks, Colin. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Keep Daddy in your heart.
Oh, dear. And good night, Alex. Ta-ra. Thanks.
7-all. I'm not doing this daddy thing.
Yeah, 7-all. Yeah.
He doesn't realise he's Speed Daddy and he can't get used to it.
So until next time, commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly daddy. Dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. You need a safe word.
Space can be lonely.
I'm going to see the galaxy.
No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.